Hey guys, it's Matt Sparrow here from manquilter.com. I just want to show you today quickly how fast and easy it is to load a quilt on an APQS frame. We have leader grips attached to this frame, which are a dowel system that gets sewn into the leader, and then we use a clip or a grip that goes over top of the dowel. You can load a queen size quilt in about 4 minutes, which is much quicker than the alternative of pinning your quilt to the frame. So let's get started. First thing I do whenever I load a quilt on the frame is I lay all 3 layers out on top of each other, backing, batting, and quilt top. I want to make sure that they're orientated properly and that I have 4 inches of backing all the way around the quilt. The last thing I want to do is load this quilt on the frame and notice when I get to the very end of the quilt that my backing is too short. So a little tip that I use, so this never happens to me again because it's happened many times, is we're going to lay all 3 layers on top of each other. I can see all the way around that my backing and my batting is larger than the quilt top. I'm going to take my quilt top now, I'm going to fold it in half across the frame and in half again, and now I'm going to go set it aside like this. Now I know when I bring that back, if I unroll, fold it across the frame, if I do that with all 3 layers, I won't have any problems. I'm going to take my batting. Seems elementary, but it sure helps. And I'm going to fold it in half across the frame. I'm going to take it off. And I'm going to put it out of the way. Now my quilt backing, I would do the same thing with. And then as we all know, as we finish our quilt tops, we usually have a backing prepared. And sometimes it's months before we get to quilting it. Sometimes it's years before we get to quilting it. So what we're going to do is store them together, folded up in the same direction, so that when we come back to the frame and we're ready to quilt it, we're going to unfold it across the frame. It'll save us a lot of trouble in the end. Okay, so now we're going to take our backing and we're going to throw it all the way over the quilt, the pickup roller at the very back. Okay, now we're going to unlock this front bar right here, and we're going to take our leader. This is our quilt backing roller. We're going to put our entire backing on this bar first. We're going to fold that leader around like a reverse waterfall, around and over top of this quilt top roller and back onto itself. This just makes loading much quicker and gives you more leverage when you're able to push against that bar to load it. Okay, now we're going to grab our backing. You notice I have not marked center on the backing. I don't care where center is. Okay? All I want to make sure is that my quilt backing lays flat and smooth. So I'm going to throw it over this bar and I'm going to pull it like you saw me pull it about a finger past the edge of the leader with the dowel sewn into it. Okay, now that that is done and I can see it's almost the exact same all the way along, almost exact. Do you like that? I like that. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my leader grips. These are leader grips here. They're available at leadergrips.com. Now I'm going to take them and I'm going to start on one end and I'm just going to grab the end right onto the grip and I'm going to grip that all the way down over the dowel, securing the fabric in place. Okay, I'm going to need 2 of those for this application. Now I'm going to take this front bar. It's completely rolled on. You can see how smooth it is. I'm going to drop it back over the top of the quilt top roller. And I'm going to unlock this bar and I'm going to start rolling it up here. Now when I first get here, I'm going to lock the bar for a second. And I am going to give a quick little tug up here on the top. Another quick tug on the top here. Smooth this out, center out. Now when I look at the backing, I can see that it's laying perfectly flat and smooth. I have 4 inches all the way around it, so it doesn't matter, unless you've got a grain line or a seam line in your backing that you want to line up perfectly straight to your quilt top, which usually doesn't happen anyway. So we're just looking for the quickest way, the easiest way to load this backing on the frame so that we have no issues while we're quilting. Okay, so now I've got this backing started on this quilt back roller here. I've got the top, the back of it all spread out over the bar, hanging, draping, so that it's nice and smooth and flat, and I can see the entire backing as I roll it up. If this backing was hanging straight down, I wouldn't be able to see the backing as I roll it up. It would just come up wrinkled and I wouldn't be able to control it. So this gives me a full visual. I'll show you quickly. If I just pull this 1/4 inch over to the right, do you see what's happening to the belly of the fabric? See all these waves? I don't know if you can see them. I'll know after when I look at the video. I'm assuming you can see them because I can really see them. So that just shows you how small of a cushion you actually have. You'll absolutely be able to see what's happening with your backing if it's off left or right. We don't have to trust that when we load center on this roller, roll this entire backing onto this roller, and then try to line up the center of this end of the backing onto the center of your pickup roller. They never quite match up. They're always 1/4 inch off, 1/8 of an inch off. They never line up perfectly because it's almost impossible to cut the two ends of your backing perfectly parallel. So now, all I care about is this backing rolls on smooth and wrinkle free. So I'm going to roll it 2, 3 times. I'm going to stop because I see a couple wrinkles in the top. I'm going to give a little tug at the top on this side, a little tug over here on this side, and I'm going to go center out again. Center out. I can see how beautifully that backing is rolling up. So smooth. That's exactly what I want. It's going to fall off that back bar now. Give it one last smooth center out. I'm not worried about these ends lining up the entire time. I'm not going to manipulate my fabric just to have those ends lined up. I'm not that much of a control freak. All I care is that it's smooth and flat because that's how it's going to come off under your quilt. Now I'm going to take this backing, this pickup roller, and I am going to unroll it until I can reverse waterfall it over and onto itself. So it's just hanging over the edge of itself. You might want to unroll it, find that perfect spot, and then lay it out like this and draw a line right here on your leader so that you know exactly where to roll it out to, lock it, and then you can go around to the other side or reach right over and do this. Okay? So I just want to make sure the camera can see the back of the machine. Let me come over here. Just going to adjust it slightly. There we go. Now I'm going to sneak to the back, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on the back. Okay, here I am. You can still see me. You can still hear me. I'm going to use my leader grip to grab my backing fabric. Okay. I'm going to unroll it just a little bit so that it extends past this leader. I'm going to grab center first, then this right side, smooth it out. And I can tell just by looking at the fabric where it's too tight and where it's too loose. There's lots and lots of different methods to load your quilt onto the frame. If the end result is the same, wouldn't you want to do it in the fastest, simplest method possible? I know I would. Okay, so now I can see already, if I drop this end down, I can see that that fabric isn't smooth and flat all the way across. I can see that there's much more of a swell down here at the end. So I'm just going to tug on it until it's relatively even all the way across, and I can see that it is. And then I'm going to take my leader grip, start applying it to one end, apply it all the way across. Now I'm going to grab my smaller leader grip, and I'm going to do the same thing down on this end. I'm going to use a big one because I've got a little bit of extra here. So here I go, applying the leader grip. I'll do another video on how to put the leader grip on and how to sew the dowels into your leader. Okay, so now we're going to throw this leader, your pickup roller, the leader right back over so it can roll up onto itself. We're going to make a small adjustment to the camera. Get it right back over. There we go. Okay, now we can see that this end, this front end of our backing fabric is attached to this leader. It's rolled up completely smooth and flat all the way onto this leader while the rest of it lays over this bar. Once it falls off that bar, We're grabbing this leader, reverse waterfall over onto itself, going around back, grabbing the other end of our backing fabric, laying it up over that dowel, and then putting the grip on it. Simple. Okay, so now I recommend you go to YouTube and search loading a quilt and watch the 25 to 45 minute videos that have been edited and cut, and you'll see why this method is faster. Okay, now we'll lock this. You can see how smooth, we'll get one last smooth center out, but you can see how smooth and flat that quilt back is laying. Now we're going to add the batting that I folded up and put aside. And I fold it across the frame, so I'm going to unfold across the frame. We'll never unfold across the frame this way. Okay, here's my batting. And I can already see that it's backwards. The wrong side was up, so we're just going to flip that around quickly. We're going to lay it out over top. We're going to leave about 1.5 inches or 2 inches up at the top, because right now our batting is laying over top of our top roller, right? So we don't want it to end up there. We want it to end up underneath. What a lot of people will do is they'll now stitch this batting down up top here, a nice straight line across the top, and they'll take the rest of the batting and jam it under this quilt top bar. I find that manipulates and pulls and tears the batting, and I want to take special care with my batting because it's fragile. All batting's fragile. I can put my hand right through it. So what I want to do is just rub this bottom bar, rub the batting onto it so it stays in place. I'm about 1.5 inches or 2 inches across the top from this leveler bar. Okay. Now I'm going to accordion fold my batting down and under. I know some of you are thinking wrong side, right side, which side goes down. I'll have another video that'll show you exactly which side of your batting and how to check if you can't tell which side is right and wrong, how to do a little pin test. Okay, so now I can see I accordion folded it slid under very nicely, and it gave me about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of extra distance because it didn't have to go over the bar anymore. It went under, so it laid flat. So now that's laid perfectly flat across the frame. Your quilt back underneath is perfectly flat and wrinkle free. You notice I'm not using my side clamps at this point. Now I'm going to grab my quilt top. My quilt top, exact same thing. We know my backing and my batting is 4 inches bigger on all 4 sides. So do we need to mark center? Did I have anything about that backing that needed a center lined up perfectly? Did I have a row of blocks that were left over, orphan blocks from this quilt top that were pieced into it? No. It's just a solid wide back, so there's absolutely no need to make this perfectly center on it. All we have to make sure is that we have batting on the right and we have batting on the left, which we do. We have about a hand on each side. And for me, that's good enough. I don't need it to be exact. Okay, now you can see I've got 2 inches up here at the top, at least 2 inches, between the leveler bar and the edge of my quilt top. My batting is already right up to the leveler bar. Now with that 2 inches, we're going to take this quilt top and go under this bar again, creating extra distance and getting us closer to that bar and closer to